Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Opposition Report. Today, I'm joined by Rob. Rob, how are we doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Well, I say looking forward to going to Blackpool. We haven't won in the league there in my lifetime, which is fun. I'm 22 years old, so it's been a good few years since we've won up at Blackpool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let's kickstart then with how your season's gone so far. It's not particularly gone as well as I would have imagined you would have hoped.
No, I think probably for the first time in 4 or 5 seasons, there was quite a bit of optimism and excitement. At the start of the season, I think with the recruitment we did in the summer, I think we brought in 12, 15 players of sort of good calibre, a lot of League One experience, players who've got out of League One into the Championship before. So no, I think most Blackpool fans were not just optimistic of a top six finish. I think we were thinking, hopefully, pushing for the automatic. So, yeah, it's not gone at all how we'd hoped it would go. Um, there are, I think, several reasons why that's happened. But yeah, it's been a pretty disastrous season from start to finish, really, from the opening game against Stevenage. Not much has gone right. So it was almost inevitable that Steve Bruce would lose his job. So yeah, we've got a big job now to try and salvage the season and first and foremost try and stay in the division. And yeah, it's going to be a big task.
You mentioned the transfer window there. I'll just run through some of the names because, from an outsider's perspective, what a transfer window. I mean, I guess it hasn't come across that way, but Peacock Farrell, Franco Ravazzoli, Fraser Horsfall. I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but Michael Hikwa, Brown, Emil Hansen, George Honeyman, Josh Bowler, Scott Banks, Niall Ennis, Dale Taylor, all come in. But you did let Rob Apter and Sonny Carey go. One of my questions was, how big of a miss has Rob Apter and Sonny Carey been?
Yeah, I think obviously they have been a big miss because our results have shown that. I think Sonny Carey was an interesting one because I think Charlton fans asked about him as a player, and if I'm being brutally honest, I think out of the 4 years we had Sonny Carey, it was only really the last sort of 3 or 4 months where he performed, to the level that we all thought he could do. He's a player who had great potential, but from January onwards last season, he was probably our best player. He was a big reason why we almost got to the playoffs, but he didn't deliver over the 4 year spell. So it's no surprise to me that he has kicked on at Charlton. It's just whether or not he can keep that consistency going forwards. And yeah, Rob Apter's a player who's come through our academy. He had quite an interesting loan career. He sort of went from sort of Northern Leagues up to National League North with Scunthorpe. He went to Tranmere. So it was a sort of a path for him to go up through the leagues, and then he got his break last season, and he was again one of our better players. He's more of an out and out winger. I think he's found it tough at Charlton, who play a back three. He's playing sort of as a wing back, which I don't think's his strength. But for ourselves in the 4-4-2, he was yeah, a very dangerous player, a bit of an old school type winger really, where he was a dribbler. You don't often get those sort of players in League One. So yeah, two big misses for us. But I think we were hopeful with the players we brought in and the number of players we brought in that we will be able to cope without them. But unfortunately, it's not really come out like that.
Uh, Looking at the transfer business then and the incomings, who's impressed you the most and who's impressed you the least out of all the new signings?
That's a really tough question in terms of who's impressed me. I do think, although he's not played that much because of injuries, I do think George Honeyman is a good signing. He's got leadership, experience. He's a very tenacious midfielder, wholehearted, 100%, gets stuck in, but he's also got a bit of ability. So he hasn't played a lot of football. He started off the season quite well, then had a bad injury. He's now back in the team, and you can see that he's definitely, there's a player there, even though he's obviously the wrong side of 30 now. He adds great experience to that midfield, which is needed. So I do think he will be a really good signing for us. In terms of who's not impressed us, I mean, how long's the list? There's several who I think the big thing for Blackpool is that a lot of those players you've mentioned in incomings, they weren't fit. They didn't have a pre-season. Players like Josh Bowler, Emil Hansen, one or two others, they came and almost had to play catch up. So I don't think we've seen the best of a lot of those players as of yet. I think probably if I was going to name one player, I think I'd probably say Dale Taylor. So Taylor was brought in from Nottingham Forest for about £1 million. He had a productive loan spell at Wigan last season. I think he scored double figures for them. So I think we were very optimistic that he would come in and be able to get us, the 15, 20 goals that you'd expect a striker for that price tag to get. That's not transpired. I think he has got one goal in the Virtue Trophy. He did. He was involved in a goal against Bolton, but it was classed as an own goal because it came back off the post and hit the keeper. And he's out. He's out for. I think he's out for another month at least now. So he's for a big price tag. Yeah, he's not really hit the ground running like a lot of players.
So obviously, Steve Bruce was your manager at the start of the season, lost his job fairly recently, around 6 games ago. What went wrong, and would you say your season start is down to Brucey, or is it other factors coming into it?
I think it's a combination of things. I think Bruce has got to take a lot of the responsibility. I think he was very rigid in the formation we played. We played 4-4-2 week in, week out. Even if the players, we had a lot of injuries, and we still have got a lot of injuries, but we had a lot of injuries going back probably 2 months ago. We had about 12, 13 players out injured. So he was limited in what he could do. But having said that, he tended to play players out of position. So we had Jordan Brown, who's a midfielder, playing at right back for several games, even though we had Andy Lyons, who is more of a natural right back, on the bench. So he did seem to prefer certain players, even if that meant taking them out of the comfort zone. So that was a big frustration for me. And then I think set pieces were another big thing. I think early in the season we conceded several set pieces from corners, free kicks, which is just, yeah, really annoying and frustrating. Um, but I do think injuries haven't helped him. I think, like I said, we've had a lot of injuries. And I know at this level all clubs have injuries, but I think we had at one point, say, 12, 13 players out, then it's going to impact on your team. I mean, we've still only got two fit strikers at the moment. When we play a two up front, so you've got nothing on the bench to change that. So yeah, I do have a bit of sympathy for him. But having spent that much money in the summer, then to be in the relegation zone is just, yeah, unacceptable. And I think the final straw was that Wimbledon game at home. I think our XG was less than zero point 0.1 in a must-win game. So I think that says it all, really. That the players had, I think, almost lost faith with what we were trying to do. There didn't seem to be much pattern of play, much cohesiveness between the players. So yeah, unfortunately, I think the writing was on the wall for Bruce. I think the players even come out and said afterwards that they seem to have more of a clear idea and message now what they're expected to do, which I'm guessing is a bit of a dig at Bruce. So hopefully the season starts now for us. There's still a lot of football to be played, so we can still salvage the season. But while you're in the bottom four, you need to get out of it quick because the longer you stay in there, the harder it gets.
Would you say the weight of expectation of the transfer window has affected the team so far? I was looking at sort of, we'll move on to Ian Evatt in a second, but I know he said I think it was before the Orient game, that the team have got to cut out the external noise around them. So would you say the weight of expectation of sort of, we're in a position where we can challenge for the playoffs, has that affected the team?
Well, it probably has, but I don't think it should do. I think if Blackpool in League One, like Reading yourselves, we should be considered a bigger club. I think again, looking at the league table is very frustrating when you see teams like Stevenage, one or two others who have got much smaller budgets than ourselves, performing well. And I think what I noticed about some of these teams is they maybe don't play the most attractive football, but they work hard as a team. They're the one unit. The team works there. They know what they're doing. They've got a system and they play it well. And I think Blackpool just looked like a bunch of strangers. I think there were several games where we just didn't look like a creative force. We were making mistakes at the back, and ultimately that comes back to the manager. So yeah, really, really frustrating. I think last season Bruce got a bit of a free pass because he came in after 2 games when Neil Critchley got sacked. He obviously wants to bring his own players in, but he's had a full pre-season, and yeah, we've had a pretty disastrous start. So expectation comes with the territory, unfortunately. So I don't think that's an excuse, to be honest with you.
So out went Steve Bruce. In comes former player, I believe he was a part of your promotion winning team in 9-10, Ian Evatt. Since he's been in charge, 6 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. What's it been like so far under the former Blackpool defender?
Yeah, there's been some promising signs. I think particularly the home game against Cardiff was a really good performance. I think first half Cardiff did dominate the ball, but then second half Blackpool really came into their own. And I think in that game, I don't know if you saw the highlights, but in that game we could have scored about 7 or 8 goals. I think Tom Bloxham had 3 1-on-1s at one point. So there's definite signs there that the players seem to be gelling together. I think also getting 1 or 2 players back from injury is a big help. I think Scott Banks, who I'm hoping will feature on Saturday, is a big plus. I think he's come with a big reputation. He's playing out in Germany at the moment with St. Pauli, so we've got him on loan. He's definitely got some ability. So yeah, it's been pretty positive. I think the one frustration was the Burton game. We lost 1-0 there, and we kind of played into Burton's hands a little bit. I think first half we had the better chances. We should have scored, didn't score. And then the game got a bit scrappy, set pieces, throw-ins, corners, and we know Burton are very good at that. And they scored from a cross, and typical Jake Beasley, ex-Blackpool player, scored as ex-players tend to do. So that was a bit frustrating. We didn't seem to have an answer for Burton's sort of style of play. So you have to adapt to different teams and different systems in this league, and it is very small margins as we all know. So. But we got a point at Leyton Orient on Saturday, last minute equaliser from Ashley Fletcher. So there's a bit of fight there. But obviously we need to try and win our home games, and obviously we've done that against Cardiff. So yeah, we want to continue it against Reading on Saturday.
The draw against Orient last time out with the last minute equaliser, I did have a quick look on the hashtag. It seems quite a few Blackpool fans said you kind of got away with it and got a point there. I also saw there was a bit of shirt pulling from one of the fans or something. What happened there?
Yeah, so I didn't actually watch the game myself, but yes. So Lee Evans, I think Blackpool had equalised at that point, so it was deep into injury time. Lee Evans was trying to take a long throw in, and on two occasions, I think a couple of Orient fans were pulling his shirt when he ran back to the hoardings to take the run up. So it's done the rounds on the social media clips and stuff. So yeah, it was yeah quite funny really, but obviously frustrating because Blackpool wanted to get in the box and try and get that winner.
And is there now sort of light at the end of the tunnel for the season? Can you see under Ian Evatt a path of getting out the relegation zone and sort of pushing towards mid-table, maybe the top half of the league?
I think it feels like it's one step forward and two steps back with Blackpool. I think if you after the Cardiff game, I think a lot of fans were thinking, "Oh right, we can kick on now and we can move up the table," and then obviously we lose to Burton. So I think we've got to be careful that we need to get out the bottom four first, and that's easier said than done. I think there's quite a few teams down there who I don't think will be down there end of the season. I think Peterborough, although I think they lost midweek, I think they will improve. I think Plymouth will improve as well. So the nature of League One this season, it's a very tight division. I think if you look up to the playoffs, there's not a lot of points in it. So again, small margin. So yes, I think we can get out of the relegation zone. I think if we can get our strikers back, if we can get Niall Ennis back, if we can get Dale Taylor back and hitting some form, we can get Scott Banks playing, get Josh Bowler playing how we know he can play. We've definitely got the players in the squad to turn it around. Um, in terms of mid-table, I think we'll have to wait and see. I think January is a big month for us, like every club. I'm hoping Everett can maybe tweak things around a little bit. Obviously, a change of formation, going to a back three. He might want to bring one or two of his own players in. So I'm certainly hopeful of staying up, but I'm not too getting too carried away that we're suddenly going to shoot up the table because I think that could be misguided. So yeah, I think next month or two will certainly determine how our outlook looks come May time.
And let's move on to the game then. You mentioned there maybe about back three. What formation are you expecting Ian Evatt to play on Saturday?
Yeah, so I think it'll be sort of a 3-5-2-1-2. So I think he'll play a back three of Casey, Ahikwe, and Horsfall. Wing backs, it'll probably be CJ Hamilton, who's sort of more of a winger, really. He's quite attacking. Left wing back, it'll either be Zach Ashworth, Hayden Coulson, who can both play there. Although James Husband, who's our longest serving player, he actually came off the bench against Orient and created the equaliser. So he can play either left wing back or he can play left of his back three. So he may feature. And then the midfield three will be certainly will be George Honeyman and Jordan Brown. And then it's whether or not he wants to play an attacking midfielder such as Scott Banks or Emil Hansen, or he may try and short up a bit and go for Lee Evans, who's more of a defence midfielder as well. I'm hoping he'll go for an attacking midfielder, so I'm hoping it'll be either Hansen or Banks. And then it'll be, unfortunately, we've already got Tom Bloxham and Ash Fletcher up front, so unless they're injured, it'll be them two again up front.
Any injury concerns going into the game? I know you mentioned there Dale Taylor and Niall Ennis, but is there any other injury concerns?
No, I think Hayden Coulson was back on Saturday. He was on the bench, so hopefully he's okay. Yeah, I think Dale Taylor's a few more weeks out. I think Niall Ennis is the longest. I think he's looking more towards Christmas, New Year. Albie Morgan, central midfielder, I don't think he's fit yet. And the big one, really disappointing injury was Danny Imre. So he's a right winger, right wing back, who we got from Crystal Palace, who started the season really well, and then he got injured. It's quite a bad one, I think. So I think he'll be out till next year, which is a huge blow for us. So we've still got a few injuries, but we're getting a few back. So yeah, I think unfortunately we are limited to what we can do. I think there'll be a couple of kids on the bench as well because of lack of numbers. So yeah, it'll be down to the players who played last week to do the business.
You also mentioned earlier you conceded quite a lot of goals from set pieces. You have conceded the most goals from set pieces in all of League One. Is this still a weak point under Ian Evatt, or is that more of a Steve Bruce trait?
It seems to have improved. I think certainly those first few games, our keeper Bailey Peacock-Farrell looks very unassured. I think that first game against Stevenage, it was his pass out for the third goal. I think it was for Dan Kemp who scored. So it has improved, and his own performance has improved for us. So I do think it has got better. I think the Burton goal did come from a cross, which was disappointing. Um, but it certainly has improved. So yeah, hopefully we find out those deficiencies. I do think we look more structured under Ian Evatt. So hopefully we can improve that, get clean sheets, and then look to improve at the other end of the pitch as well. Because Ash Fletcher isn't what you call a natural goal scorer. If you get 10 goals out of Ashley Fletcher, you've done well. And Tom Bloxham is sort of more of a wide player, really. In a 4-4-2, he's kind of plays on the right hand side, but needs most of his having to play as sort of a second striker. So I think goals are a concern for us. But like I say, hopefully we can get Ennis and Taylor back in the next few weeks. That will certainly help us.
Two players you mentioned there in Peacock, Farrell, and Fletcher that, from sort of an outsider's perspective, hear a lot about maybe a underperformance not doing as well. I know Peacock Farrell don't have particularly good reviews at Birmingham. What have they been like in the Blackpool show? I know Fletcher's been with you for a while, but Peacock Farrell obviously joined in the summer. What have they been like for Blackpool?
Yeah, I mean, I think Fletcher's a bit of a hit and miss character. I think some fans do like him, and some fans find him quite frustrating. I mean, for a big lad, sometimes you feel like he could be a bit more physical because he's 6 foot plus, athletic build. Um, but on his day, he can be a handful. And I think against the Cardiff match, him and Bloxham was superb, holding the ball up and running behind. So he has that ability. We can see why he has played at a higher level in the past. I think Fletcher's only 30, so he's still not. He's still relatively young. He's coming to his peak really. So yeah, he has moments. I think it's like a lot of players in League One. It's consistency, doing it week in week out. Um, I think his goals against Cardiff were really calm finishes, under clean through, and he did take them well. I think on Saturday he missed a good chance when he should have scored. But yeah, I do like Ashley Fletcher. I think he had a slow start, and then he last season, but he actually won Fans Player of the Season, so it was a big turnaround for him. So yeah, I think it's a shame we haven't got competition because he's having to play every week. Um, so hopefully, even when Ennis and Taylor come back, he'll show that he's the right person to start up front. So that'll be good to see. I think in terms of Bailey Peacock-Farrell, I think he's only 29. So again, his name's been around for years, but he's still, for a keeper especially, he's still very young. Um, he was very shaky first few games, didn't command his box, but he has dramatically improved. The fans do get behind him now. I think he had a bit of abuse early doors, which is never ideal, but he has come on leaps and bounds. I think that's a combination of things. I think that's having a steady back four or back five as well. You think you're only, as a keeper, you're only as good as your defence. And if your defence aren't giving you any sort of confidence and no communication, no leadership, then that doesn't help him. So I think having a back three now of a Hickway, KC, and Horsfall definitely helps him. So yeah, I'm hoping his performances will keep getting better.
You had to pick one player that Reading need to watch out for on Saturday. Who would it be?
Who will it be? I will go for if he starts, I'll go for Scott Banks. I think he's been coming off the bench last few games, but I would hope he will start in a midfield three. He tends to drift out to the right hand side, but he's got great delivery and he likes to cut inside. I don't know if you saw his goal against Tranmere in the Virtue Trophy. That's Scott Banks all over. He's got great ability. He just needs to win the games now. So I'm hoping he will start on Saturday and be able to cause you a few problems.
And finally, can I get a score prediction for the game?
Well, like you say, our record against Reading is pretty good.
Thanks for the reminder.
I know, I will be positive. I will say it will be 2-1 to Blackpool.
Okay, to be honest, given the fact that we lost 3-0 on a Tuesday night up there last year, I'm in my head. I hate to be pessimistic, Reading fans, but I am kind of expecting a defeat. So if it's 2-1 and it's not, at least we've scored. We haven't been battered 3-0. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me today, Rob. Actually, final point. Actually, have you got any Blackpool Reading memories from over the years? Is there anything that sticks in your head of good moments for when Blackpool played Reading, or anything?
Yeah, I have got one actually. Yeah, it's going back. It might be before your time actually. It was I'm 43 now. When I was at college, so I'd have been I think 16 or 17. We played Reading on a Tuesday or Wednesday nights midweek, and it was in I think it was in League One. But at that time, Reading were considered a big fish. I think they had, if you remind me, the Scottish manager in charge. I can't remember his name.
It would have been Tommy Burns, I want to say.
Yes, Tommy Burns. Yes, so I think he'd come in. He spent a lot of money on some players. Blackpool were right at the bottom of the table, struggling for relegation. I think we had Nigel Worthington in charge. We had a really poor team. So I got the coach over to Reading on a Tuesday night, which is obviously a long trek. And Blackpool, I think we equalised in the 96th minute or something. I think you battered us for 95 minutes, and then we scored right at the death. So yeah, it was a positive moment in a poor season for us. But I do remember Reading had some really big names. They had quite a few ex-Man United players in your team. I think like Chris Casper and was it Phil Mulreen, was it? And you had a striker called Mass Sarr playing, I think, who
Oh
cost
yeah,
a few quid.
yeah.
So for Blackpool to get a point was considered quite a good result at the time. So I think it was my first visit to the new stadium as well. So yeah, good memories.
Yeah, well, in a selfish way, I'm kind of hoping you won't get any new good memories on Saturday. I'm hoping we can get our first away win of the season. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me today, Rob. And come on, you us.